Hi everyone, you're watching the Virtual Amicus and I am Jay Lodha. Well, I'm extremely excited for this segment that is scheduled for today, not just because it's a very interesting subject, but because we have with us Mr. Sahir Hussain, a young, passionate, dynamic lawyer who has proved his mettle over the years in legal practice, not just in here, but has a pan-India presence as well. Now, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say cryptocurrency? What exactly is it? Is it a virtual currency? And how is the dealing taking place? How is the trade taking place? So there are so many questions that are attached to this whole concept of cryptocurrency. Are they illegal? Are they legal? Can anybody buy, sell, or trade cryptocurrencies? Is it regulated? Is it unregulated? And do we have a regulatory framework so as to govern its functioning? And how has the Indian government perceived the concept of cryptocurrencies? So, what do we mean by bitcoins? Who maintains this ledger? Where is this stored? Who is regulating it? What is RBI stand on it? What is the Honorable Supreme Court of India stand on it? So today we decided to have a Q&A session with our expert keynote speaker, amicus for today's session, Mr. Sahir Hussain. So before we start with our segment, just to give you all a brief introduction about our amicus for today's session, Mr. Sahir Hussain. So he's currently a practicing independent advocate before Honorable Rajasthan High Court, Jaipur bench, and he's practicing before other tribunals and courts where he specializes in miscellaneous matters, service matters, contractual disputes, general corporate advisory. He's an in-panel advocate for RPSC, which is the Rajasthan Public Service Commission, for its legal representation for Honorable Rajasthan High Court. He advises the government of Rajasthan for issuance of tenders for procurement. He does litigation management for some of the biggest corporations in the state. He has also recently concluded drafting of the Rajasthan Madrasa Board Act of 2020. He has been engaged by the government of Rajasthan to draft the Rajasthan Waqf rules and various regulations as well. And he's also been appointed as amicus curiae by Honorable Rajasthan High Court on a number of occasions. So he initially started his practice where he worked as an associate at LexPro, which was based in New Delhi. Subsequently, he joined the esteemed chambers and worked as an assistant advocate to Mr. Dushyant A. Dave, senior advocate, Honorable Supreme Court of India, where he assisted in Mr. Dave in a number of high-stake matters. Subsequently, he joined the chambers as an official assistant to Additional Advocate General, Government of Rajasthan in Jaipur, where he did and contested a number of public interest litigations for government officials, etc., and etc. And he's a graduate from NLU Jodhpur. So thank you so much, Mr. Hussain, for taking our time on a Friday evening. And so this topic is indeed very fascinating, but we are very much keen to know that what is the stand. So we decided to have a Q&A session with you. Before we begin, any first words that you wish to say, anything that you wish to say before we start with our segment?
Thank you for having me here, Jay. Thank you. And this topic needs a discussion because it's everywhere in the news. It's been in the news for the past 1 year. And everyone I meet, they know because I invest in cryptocurrency. So the first question they ask me is that it's illegal. Why are you even investing in this? And that is something we have to clarify to the world that it's not illegal in India. Yes, it's unregulated, but it's not illegal.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Hussain there. So it might be unregulated to all the viewers who are watching this, but it is definitely not illegal. So we should proceed with our Q&A session. So, Mr. Hussain, if you could just give a brief introduction about what cryptocurrency is, where does it exist? Do we need a demat account for this, or is it there in the virtual world? Where exactly is it?
I'll start with the very beginning of how crypto came to be. In January 2009, a person with a pseudonym called Satoshi Nakamoto released a white paper called Bitcoin, an electronic peer-to-peer cash system. That kickstarted the movement that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is based on a distributed ledger technology where no central agency holds the issuance of electronic currency. It's basically anyone and everyone who can contribute computing power to the network. They work towards it and they are granted Bitcoin as a reward for providing computing power. So in 2009, Bitcoin came into being. It was supposed to be, it is basically the first crypto, although there was an attempt at creating crypto in the 1990s, but that did not fructify. So essentially, Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency known to us. This Bitcoin basically solved the double spending problem that is there in the financial world, because the way Bitcoin works is you send a transaction, it is verified by a network of miners spread across the globe, and that verification forms the basis of distributed ledger technology.
So, sir, so Bitcoin is one particular kind of a cryptocurrency. Are there other kinds of cryptocurrencies as well?
Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency. As of right now, there are over 9,000 so-called cryptocurrencies, but they are not actually cryptocurrencies in the purest sense, because they are not currencies at all. At best, you can classify most of them as digital assets, which I think now, after numerous flip-flops, Indian government is deciding to recognize them as digital assets. Previously, last 1 year, there was a lot of rumors going around that India is going to ban crypto, India is going to ban Bitcoin, and there was a lot of uncertainty about it. But the latest rumor is that India is going to classify them as digital assets, tax them under capital gains, and usher in a new era of digital investing.
So, a quick question there: where does the trading take place? Now, in the normal securities market, you have the Bombay Stock Exchange, the National Stock Exchange, and there are investors who are investing, and there are certain stock exchange norms that are governed by the Security Exchange Board of India. Where is the trading that is taking place?
The trading takes place at multiple exchanges. There are exchanges, India-based exchanges such as ZebPay, WazirX, CoinDCX, etc., etc. But when Bitcoin was started, you did not have exchanges around. All you had was your computing power, and you were rewarded Bitcoins. That's how you acquired Bitcoins back in the day during the 2009-2011 era. Then the first exchange came into being, that was called Mount Gox in Japan. That was the first exchange for trading Bitcoin, where people could actually put in money, fiat, what we call it, and exchange it with Bitcoin. That was the first transaction. But we have numerous exchanges in India and around the world. Uh, WazirX is a big exchange. It is owned by Binance, which is the biggest crypto exchange in the world.
Now, with Bitcoins, we often come across the term blockchains. If I'm not wrong, then I think
Yes.
it's a form of an electronic ledger to maintain records.
Yes.
So if you could
Yes.
elaborate further on what exactly is a blockchain all about.
See, blockchain is not just a distributed ledger. Blockchain is all encompassing. It's basically a marketplace. It's a set of rules and regulations put into the software, the coding part of it, and that's how the blockchain works. One of the aspects of blockchain is the distributed ledger technology that I explained before. Distributed ledger technology is where I create or send a transaction, and that is why verified by a set of miners, and for their computing power, they are rewarded those coins. In Bitcoin's case, they are rewarded Bitcoins for mining every single block, for verifying a block. That reward basically halves every 4 years. So the first Bitcoin mining reward was 50 Bitcoins in one block. As of right now, it's just 6.25 Bitcoins per block that are rewarded. By 2140, the last Bitcoin will be mined in the world, and there won't be any new Bitcoin floating around. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. in the world that is hard coded into the software of Bitcoin, the coding part of it.
So, next question: how does one encash whatever he has made or whatever he has won by virtue of trading through bitcoins? Can a person encash it through his the currency of his native place or the country where he belongs to, or is it impossible to
Yes,
encash?
yes. I'll tell you a story. Uh, I was first introduced to Bitcoin in late 2016. A friend of mine just calls me up and tells me, "Ki, you should buy at least one Bitcoin." Back then, one Bitcoin was 18,000 rupees. And I paid heed to his advice and I bought one. And then I was hooked. So I kept trading. Back then, 2016, 2000, late 2016, there was no way to encash it in India. But then afterwards, 2017, numerous exchanges started. First was UnoCoin and ZebPay, where you could put in Indian currency, buy Bitcoin, and when it was time, you could sell it and get the payment back into your bank account in your currency. This is the same for every other cryptocurrency. You can buy with your by depositing money in the exchange's bank account. You can buy the crypto, and then when it's time to sell, you can sell it and get the money in your bank account. Of course, it's a taxable event, so you have to keep that in mind.
So, sir, don't you think that these cryptocurrencies they can be used for illicit activities, for tax evasion, money laundering, financing of terrorism? Don't you think there are certain concerns that are attached or associated with these electronic modes of cryptocurrency?
Yes, of course. There are concerns, and there have been instances where crypto has been used for such illicit trades or financing terrorism, but so has cash been used for these activities. Nobody calls called for the ban of cash from the system. Banning is never a solution. I maintain that cryptocurrency should be regulated just like every other asset. It is a digital asset, and yes, regulation is a must.
So, to all the viewers who are watching, there's a very informed but bold statement that is made by Mr. Hussain that a blanket ban will not help anybody. It has to be regulated, and that is what is the need of the hour. So, sir, what is the stand of RBI on cryptocurrencies? If you may elaborate, is there any circular or is there any notification that talks about governance or regulation of a cryptocurrency?
In April 2018, RBI issued a circular basically directing all the banks, Indian banks, to stop providing their services to Indian crypto exchanges. So basically, you could not sell and get money back into your account, or you could not deposit money into the exchange's account and buy cryptocurrency. It basically crippled the entire crypto market in India. That ban was struck down by this Honorable Supreme Court in March 2020. And since then, crypto market in India is booming. I just read an article yesterday, basically stating that around Indians have deposited around $20 billion in the crypto market, which is a huge number considering crypto is a 10-year-old technology. More clarity and regulations will basically ease the minds of other investors who are on the sidelines waiting for uh, what the government ultimately says about cryptocurrencies. So basically, a regulation should come. I'm hoping this monsoon session, the government should introduce a bill regulating the crypto market.
So you just mentioned that the Honorable Supreme Court of India had set aside this very notification that was passed by the Reserve Bank. What was the reasoning that was given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India? Because I'm sure the submissions that were made uh, against or in favor, what exactly was the reasoning or the grounds that were mentioned?
The basic reasoning was that you could not create a separate class and ask the banks not to provide services. This goes against the very tenets of Article 14 and Article 19. Basically, you could not issue a blanket ban just to not provide service to one particular aspect and not others. So the Supreme Court struck down the circular only on these grounds, Article 14 and Article 19.
Sir, as far as an investor is concerned, how does he read information about, for example, when you talk about equities or stocks, there are books, there are journals, there are news channels that help as mentors, that call upon experts on their shows to advise and guide as to where should a person invest from his pool of money. As far as bitcoins are concerned, uh, whose advice should he adhere to? Is it some written publication that he should go through? Is it some kind of a book that should guide him? Or is it simple his financial acumen? How does one how does one draw his inspiration from when it comes to investing in bitcoins?
Do you think it's a relevant question in the 21st century? Everything is available on the internet and there is an information overload about everything. But if you are interested in investing in cryptocurrencies and you want to know how this thing came into being and what sort of regulations can come, how the governments can decide to regulate it, one should read a book called The Bitcoin Standard by Safedin Amadous. I can share the link with you and you can put it there. This book is a must read. It describes what Bitcoin is. It basically the anarchist idea of separating the state from money, which is how it should be. The state should not be control of the money because it actually depends on the people. If I want to trade something, I should be allowed to trade unless it goes against public policy.
Sir, how do bitcoins or how do cryptocurrencies help or assist governments in their projects or in their funding, if at all it is
To be
regulated?
honest, I'll tell you what they say. Bitcoin is untraceable. They basically uh, put fear into the minds of people that Bitcoin is untraceable, so you can use it for all sort of illicit activities. In fact, the distributed ledger technology makes it so transparent that you can track each and every single transaction on the blockchain, and it can never be deleted. It can never be interfered with. It can never be duplicated. So you can track each and every single transaction on the blockchain where it goes. Once it has started, you can see the entire chain of it. It would be beneficial, actually beneficial for the government to trace each and every single transaction and trace how black money is moving if the world moves towards Bitcoin or distributed ledger technology as the base settlement layer. Cash is the biggest problem, in, say, either for black money or for terrorism financing or for drug trade. Cash is the biggest problem, not Bitcoin. And tracing cash is extremely difficult. Tracing Bitcoin, because it's on the blockchain, because it's on the distributed ledger, it's extremely easy. I check transactions of numerous big transactions. Anyone with a computer can check how which transactions are taking place, who is transacting to whom. So it's in fact the most transparent form of money.
Yes. So, next question, how have other countries dealt with bitcoins? Do they have regulations that they've passed, or is it unregulated just like in our country? If you could give or illustrate certain examples.
I think a week ago, El Salvador recognized Bitcoin as legal tender. From September onwards, Bitcoin will be a legal tender in the country of El Salvador, and it would be mandatory for everyone to accept Bitcoin as a form of currency. They cannot deny it because it will be a legal tender. I think Paraguay has declared its intent that they will also be making Bitcoin as a legal tender in their country. See, all these countries, El Salvador, Paraguay, Mexico has also spoken about it, uh, Haiti, these countries, they have been dealing with massive inflation. and Bitcoin can help them overcome that. We have all seen how Zimbabwe fared with the hyperinflation that went on there, and now Libya is facing because of the hyperinflation. Bitcoin is a deflationary kind of currency, and it seeks to remedy exactly this: what is happening in South America, what is happening in the Middle East. The hyperinflation is killing the poorest the most. Bitcoin remedies that.
Yes, sir. Next question, sir. We've seen a number of startups. So India is the startup capital of the world, and we've seen so many crypto startups that have come up. Now, how have these crypto startups mushroomed in so many? Is it because of the on crypto businesses that they've entered into, or are they still struggling to find their way in the market? If you could illustrate with certain examples.
I
Any
would not know about the business side of it, but cryptos, any startups, they had in the at the beginning of the technology, at the very beginning, they have to face a lot of hurdles. Right now, that hurdle is the fear, the uncertainty, because for the past 1 year, the government was saying we would be banning Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies. And just now, only a month ago, news came out that the government is finally deciding to identify them as digital assets and thereby regulating them. This uncertainty creates a lot of hurdles for the startup because they anyway do not have much startup capital to begin with. They cannot live, they cannot survive under so much uncertainty. The clients are unsure. They cannot trust that startup until the government comes out with a set of regulation that satisfies them. That is the biggest problem. I really hope the monsoon session comes out with the regulations and we can start from there. This would be the start of a new era. This would be Internet 2.0. We missed the Internet.com bubble. We should not be missing the Internet bubble 2.0.
Now, sir, coming to remedies. Now, for example, if a fraud is played on an investor when he's, a large pool of or sum of money has been taken away from him by virtue of playing fraud on him, what are the remedies like? Because currently we don't have a particular statute. We don't even know the stand of the RBI. The Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, recently paused and set aside the order that the notification that was issued. So, where does one go if a fraud is played on him?
If a fraud is
To
played, you go to
rectify
the
the
police
loss.
because if a fraud is played on you, you go to the police because fraud is punishable under the IPC, and there are relevant provisions already there in Indian Penal Code, and the police will help you in that way. Your digital property has been defrauded, so you can go to the police. Police will have to help you. They cannot say it's illegal or it's not. There is nothing. There are no regulations, so we won't do anything. You have been defrauded. You go to the police.
But sir, unfortunately, just to add to what you said, don't you think that we don't have active or proactive cyber cells within the police stations? Are they well equipped enough to handle disputes that they've probably never heard about or heard of? And if we go to them and tell
Yes,
them that it's a Bitcoin fraud, how will they believe us? That will always be
that
a
is a problem right now. I am doing a matter where a client of mine, a Canadian resident and a citizen, has been defrauded of around 30 bitcoins by an exchange based in Andhra Pradesh. I have been running from pillar to post to get my matter heard and for the police to register a complaint, but that is proving to be a Herculean task. And this is also basically this is a new territory for me. The police says we can't do anything. Bitcoin is illegal. The Andhra Pradesh local police exactly told me this on my face that Bitcoin is illegal. So why was the client even dealing with it? And I had to explain them that it's not illegal. There was never a ban, and it was a hard, difficult time. I am now planning to file a writ petition demanding a CBI inquiry because the police is not listening. So that is a hurdle, and a new set of regulations by the government will help put all these things to ease. Will tell the police that you have to act upon such frauds now.
So once the regulations are in place, don't you think that this will become an active litigation booming field for lawyers?
Initially, yes, of course.
Because where
what
there's
is in
buying and
which.
selling of goods, then there has to be fraud, because just like any other market, be it securities or capital. So,
Yeah, the lawyer should not be concerned about it, at least.
absolutely right. Sir, your experiences as an investor in Bitcoin?
Oh, experience has been extremely good. I mean, buying something at 18,000, 20,000, and seeing it grow to 45 lakhs, that is something. But yes, there have been a lot of ups and downs. Crypto is not, crypto is a market not for the faint of heart. You can see 90% drawdowns and then 600% straight upward arrows. So if you can stomach all this pain, this is a market for you. Otherwise, you have the traditional stock market or the bonds market for you.
Wow. So the cryptocurrency market is not for the faint-hearted. If you,
Not at all, not at all. Not at least not in the initial phases. Once Bitcoin settles down and reduces volatility, yes, of course, moderate investors then can come in, but not right now. It's a very high risk, very volatile market. You can you can basically be in a 90% loss or a 99% loss for months and months to come.
sir,
So
your
that is a
final
risky thing.
words on cryptocurrency, anything that you wish to say towards the end of our segment?
Bitcoin and other cryptos are the only new asset type class in over 200 years. There has been no new asset class developed in the last 200-300 years. This is this is the first time in 200 years that we have a new asset class, and this has been the best performing asset of the last decade. 100% growth every single year. I think everyone should have a slight percentage of their portfolio in Bitcoin and other cryptos, because, like it or not, digital is the future. Everything would be digital, and so should your money be.
So to all the viewers who are watching this, the expert advice is obviously to diversify your investment portfolio, and it's definitely worth investing in this new electronic asset management trade, virtual trade that is happening called cryptocurrencies. So thank you so much, Mr. Hussain. There, not just you're sharing your expert opinion, but also sharing your experiences as an investor in a perhaps a very new topic, very new issue for the government, something that that has fascinated all of us for years. But finally, someone took this up, and you shared your valuable insights on what these currencies are about. How is it so important to regulate them, but not to pass a blanket ban on them? Anything that is new for the economy will obviously help generate a lot of employment and uh, assist and help so many markets to grow. So thank you so much, Mr. Hussain, for taking out time from your busy schedule on a Friday evening. And thank you so much, everybody, for your patient viewing. Stay tuned. Next episode is on its way. Stay home, stay safe, venture out only when it's very essential. Thank you so much, Mr. Sahir Hussain, who we hope to see you soon on a different issue, on a different subject. Uh,
Thank you,
so
Jay. Thank you for having me.
thank you so much. So it's goodbye for
All
now.
right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Goodbye.